Welcome to Phoenix. It's the opening weekend for the National Football League. Football game going on here. The Cardinals are playing. You people really need to get a life. You come here to hear us go on about UST compliance. I really don't think we're that interesting, but I'm glad you're here. Glad you came, and hopefully we have a few things to share with you. So, just a little bit, a few fun facts about 7-Eleven. We have 54,000 sub-stores across several continents. My direct responsibility is environmental compliance and remediation in the continental U.S. and Canada. And so we have about 3,000 fuel stores, a little over 10,000 outlets across those areas. Some kind of fun fact, we were founded in 1927 in Dallas. We were an ice house, and we actually did get our name from our hours of operation. We were open 7 to 11. Up until the early 60s, and then we became a 24-hour operation. So a little bit about the organization which I lead. So I did give the offer to all of my direct reports to be here. I think I see one of the 20-some that are here. So you can see what kind of iron fist that I rule my organization with. But at any rate, right, thank you for making it. So we're structured regionally across the U.S. So we have 7, what we refer to as 7 compliance regions. Each of those region teams has a region manager, a region specialist, and a region analyst. The manager and specialist work remotely out in the field. The analysts are a group. We have 7 analysts that support each region in our Dallas office. And so just a little bit of an overview about what those folks do. The managers are responsible really for the overall compliance of their 300 to 500 sites, but they're also responsible for specific states. Our regions don't align perfectly with our stores alignment, so stores alignment tend to bleed over states. We believe pretty strongly that a compliance manager should be responsible for a state because they're responsible for knowing intimately the rules of that state, relationship management with the regulators in those states, and making sure that we're following those directions. Specialists are more day-to-day, hands-on type folks that are responsible for maintenance and upkeep and efficiencies and compliance to make sure that kind of the ship stays afloat and it's not taking on water all the time. And our analysts in Dallas, they're really kind of the boots on the ground, kind of the first triage of any issues that this technology will produce for us. And we'll go through that a little more in depth as we go. Some of the counts that we have in Titan, so we have about 5,300 users. Each store we have as a user, so that accounts for about 3,200 users. We have 407 non-store users. Over time, we've closed about 150,000 activities, and you can kind of go through the numbers. They get a little bit staggering. 24 million sensors that we test over time through our period of cloud technology. And third-party test records, so this is the repository for all of our test records, about a little over 400,000 test records that we have in the database. So SEEDS, as it's referred to here, is the 7-Eleven Environmental Database System, or Titan Cloud Technology, powered by Titan Cloud Technology. It came into being about 2004 for 7-Eleven, 2004, 2005, where we had, as many of you I'm sure have, a myriad of filing cabinets, filing systems, Excel spreadsheets, some databases, and just really disparate information all across the board, where it was housed, what it was, and unknown expense to what it takes to maintain that. And we in one of our offices in Virginia Beach, we had a fire, which really prompted, hey, we need to do something about that because we lost a ton of files and records with that fire back in about 2003. And so that was the sort of the impetus to get a cloud-based or database technology as a warehouse for a record. And it's grown into a lot of other things beyond that. So one of the first things I kind of want to talk about is what we do from a compliance dashboard. So this compliance dashboard, there's a lot of information on here. I don't want to go through it in great detail, but at any one time, we can pull this data up by region, by state. I can look at the entire country to see how many stores that we have that are currently in compliance with the month, how many stores that are out of compliance. We can drill down on that, whether it's missing the leak detector or grease detection reports or whatever deficiencies there. We can drill down, see what store, what tank, and we can also do sort of a parade, if you will, from our various regions. Who's doing better in what regions? Are there states that are performing better than other states are? And it really helps at the dashboard. And so we have this as a landing page. When we open the application, this is the first thing that pops up to say, where are we today with our compliance? And so obviously stores that have that are interstitially monitored should always be in compliance. Any one of those that are not, ones that are running CSLD, obviously, towards the end of the month, you're looking more towards how many out of compliance sites do I have, and what's the team doing to make those corrections. Another thing that really, from my perspective, that we use Titan Cloud Services for is kind of an asset reporting. So we can drill down to any store and see the age of the tank, the type of tank, piping material, whether it has UC, sumps, just the whole gamut of what is at that store. Recently, we've added canopy information to that database. One of the things that we're starting to find as some of our assets age, the canopies are failing. So that's really something that we haven't taken into consideration until we've had a couple blow over recently. And so that has been something that we've really been focused on because we didn't really know how many single pole versus double pole versus four pole canopies, what the infrastructure has been around that. So we've implemented a new page within this asset management to put canopies in there so that we can begin to gather and query data. We use this data every day within our system. So part of my team also is responsible for capital deployment. And so we look at this frequently to look at our age of tanks and do some rankings to see which tank should be replaced, which site should we be removing based on the age of the tank and overall performance. So this is a great way to begin aggregating data. And so there's reporting out of that you can query. You can really query on anything. Which sites have stage 2? What's the age of the tanks in the system? Where do you have steel piping? Do you have any steel piping? Anything that you want to query on, you can drill down over a large set of data and really kind of see where you're at in terms of my assets and where do we need to make improvement and where do we need to deploy capital. So another application is visual inspections. You saw on the first sheet that we have 125,000 visual inspections in the database. We've been doing either monthly or quarterly inspections for about 5 years. I would venture to say we've probably done more visual inspections across our network than anybody in the country has. And so we use this as a very powerful tool. I've equipped all of our field people with iPads or tablets or whatever, but we haven't to land on iPads before there were any other tablets. So when they're out in the field, they can actually access this database to make sure that everything that's in there is corrected. Any deficiencies that are going on, they can address right there while they're at the site. They can make updates at the site. And as well as with the visual inspections, these monthly inspections that are being performed, they upload right to the application. Any deficiency that happens within those inspections creates what you just referred to, and Scott referred to it creates an activity. And so really that's kind of the life of our compliance specialists is those activities thrown off by these visual inspections. So we have a visual inspection, the deficiencies noted, they get an activity that pops up into their queue to say, I found liquid in the spill bucket at this site. So from there, they take it to the next step to create a maintenance work case and follow that through all the way till it's closed, till that deficiency is resolved. And like I said, 250,000 activities closed over the course of time. It's a lot of activities, but it really is a very organized way to keep up with things. We use the activities for things that I'm not even sure Titan's aware of, but our field people, I'll call them and say, hey, remind me that we need to talk about dispenser replacements at a store 6 months from now. They'll actually create an activity within Titan to give them a pop-up, and it pops into their email queue and says, hey, Ron, I wanted to discuss on this date these dispensers. So it's really kind of a helpful reminder tool with that as well. The next thing that we use Titan Cloud Services, inventory variance. So I feel pretty fortunate in that 7-Eleven is a fairly technologically advanced organization. We have ATGs in all of our sites. We have BIR running in all of our sites. And so the analysts that work in Dallas, that's one of the first things that they do every morning is in their queue, any BIR that goes out of tolerance, they get an email alert and an activity get created for that out of tolerance tank. And so they can begin to drill down immediately into what's going on. And this has been a great asset when it comes to fuel theft. It's really a big aha that we've been able to determine from that. And we've actually got our asset protection folks involved in that. We've made over half a dozen arrests across the country. This data will come in that we've had a fuel loss, asset protection will go set up cameras in the dispensers, and within a couple of days we invariably catch it. So, and work with local police departments and actually have made several arrests when it comes to fuel theft. So it's been pretty interesting to see that data come in a systematic manner where you can really do something with it other than just, kind of a nebulous amount of data out there that, hey, I have some shortage about something somewhere. It really helps drill down and you can really look at the time events if that happens. It also creates our reporting. So anytime we have a monthly BIR variance, our analysts put notes in there about what's been done about it, what's been done to correct it, what they felt like the cause was, and in many states that becomes the actual variance copy of record for that state, the official record for that state. And so Titan has done a good job. There's some states that had some very specific rules and wording about how the form looks, so they've been able to design the form to replicate the state form so that it becomes the official form for those state agencies. One of the things that I'm pretty proud of with 7-Eleven, 7-Eleven is while we're technologically sophisticated, we're also a very tight platform. In other words, it's pretty tough to get through our firewall. And we've been able to punch a hole through our firewall to allow folks access to Titan from our stores. And so there's a couple of things with that. So all of our test records are housed within Titan. We're able to flag certain records to be regulated visible. So any test records that a regulator needs access to, we can flag them. When they log into Titan, that's the view that will come up, and they can see those records. And we've actually gone to several agencies and provided them with their own unique access login so that they can actually do a desktop review of the records they need before they ever go to the site. We feel that going forward, that's going to be the big benefit to us and also to the regulators. You're not tying up your time as a regulator at the store while the store operators trying to fumble around, finding records, incomplete records. They're all there. They're concise. It's a paperless system, and you could have done a review at your office if you had chose to do that, or you have access with our computers at the stores. Now, we're not 100% there. Not every one of my store operators can, nimbly work through and get you there, but it's a working process, and the agencies that have adapted it have really fallen in love with it. They really like having access to all of those records away from the site. You have time to take the time to review them, look at them, without all the activity that's going on in the store and all the busy schedule that's going on with the store operator. Kind of the next topic is ATG device management. This is something fairly new that we have done with Titan. So there's a couple of different pieces that are there. So one of the challenges that we have at 7-Eleven with so many sites is we have gas contractors going out to sites and making configuration changes on ATGs. Hopefully they're not doing it in California, it's illegal there, but in other states it happens pretty regularly. And obviously that causes you all kinds of issues from a compliance standpoint. It causes you issues from the inventory management. If they go in and change the deflection or tilt of the tank without you knowing about it, it can change your results of your BIR. So what we have now is an alert system. So we're tied through Titan to our ATG to throw off any alert of any parameter change that's made to that ATG. And that comes back to our analyst, Dallas, to look at it and go, hey, did you know about that? And if they did, they can accept it. If they don't know about it and don't agree with it, they can revert back to the previous configuration settings that were there. And they can also tell when it was changed, by whom it was changed. And so that's been a pretty good eye-opening tool for us of how many times those configurations are getting changed out there. We haven't really tracked it, but we certainly have found some that we were unaware of those configurations. You know, gas contractors have a tendency to get lazy. They go out, they can't figure out what's going on with the ATG, they'll just do a cold start, right? When there's really no need to do a cold start, they really need to do triage and find out what was wrong, but it's easier to just plug it, reboot it. So we can now see all that. The other thing is with these 200 to 300 parameters within an ATG, we will be able to push those parameters out to new gauges as well, so we don't have to do all that configuration management up front. A lot of our parameters are consistent from site to site, and go through, we'll be able to push that out to stores without having to manually do all the parameters set up. So that's been a real great thing. We have all of our sensors located and run through our ATG, so we have sensor management, interstitial management, so we can see all that bubbles up into that compliance dashboard that you saw earlier. So I'm going to hit the pause button. That's really all the prepared comments that I have. If you have questions now, I'd be happy to take some. Brent's going to follow me. He's got a whole with me, and so does Scott. There's also going to be a question and answer session at the end. But if you have questions that come to mind now, I'd be happy to answer. Yes, sir.
How do you deal with routine QA/QC with your electronic database? How do you learn things there?
So that's a pretty broad question. We actually use another competitor application for all of our ATGs, so we have non-connect notices, right? So we know what we don't know. We know that we're not connected. From a QA/QC, really, it's those visual inspections that go on every month, and our field team out there validating the data that they have.
So you have a data retention policy for your key documents based on whatever the fire requirement may be.
We do, and unfortunately, it's a little broad. It needs to be narrow. We keep too much stuff. So everything that we had in filing cabinets around the country all got scanned and uploaded into the system. All that data is in there. We're going to come to a point where we need to peel it back. So we're currently in a review with legal about what's reasonable, what do we need to get back to. Right now, it's too late. Yes, sir.
About the regulator access, how do you control that access?
So regulator access is controlled. By the way, he's throwing me softballs. He's my guy back there. So regulator access is controlled by what gets flagged. So a document has to be flagged as regulator access, and only a document that's regulator flagged can they see. So it can be an automated process. So when test records come in, they can be automatically flagged as regulator visible. And in terms of access, the access is granted through a central person in our office, Charlene Worley, and she has to have a valid email address to give you a log on it. So She'll create a logon, and Titan will send you a password to that email address. How that is. Thank you, sir. Good question. Yes. So typically, our planning department are pretty heavy users to look for the data. Our real estate group is another one that uses the data. So, a use case for the real estate group is when they're looking to renew a lease, they'll routinely go in and look at the gauge of the tanks, say, hey, should I have any questions before I renew this lease for 20 years? Our gasoline contractors across the country are also pretty heavy users. Our construction guys, anybody who's doing capital projects and kind of want to know what's there. One of the things I forgot to mention, we're just now embarking on adding some new features to Titan. We've contracted to do drone surveys for all of our sites. So we'll have an aerial 360 of all of our sites. And so from the remediation side, that can be really valuable information to see what your immediate receptors can be. So, do I have a drainage ditch close by? Do I have a creek behind the store? And so we're flying a drone 360 around the site, looking in and looking out to see what might be a sensitive receptor in case of a release. We're also using it for other things other than gasoline compliance, frankly. We don't have to put a man on the roof to look at the HVAC. We can really drill in the photographic technology that you can zoom in. In many cases, if we can get the drone close enough, we can actually see the serial numbers on the HVAC up there. So it's pretty amazing technology. So we're actually partnering with our facilities group, but all of that information will also be housed in seeds as a database so that you can see a video of the flyover and then you can drill into specific areas of interest.
This rest of the question, do you pull your ATGs direct on your IP or does
They do.
Do that like a VPN?
He referred to earlier, it was quite a strong security department, and their security department actually has a third-party device inside of our data center that they have access to, and so they own the keys to it. We don't, and so they have the ability to turn it on or turn it off.
That's a separate IP address from other store functions.
Actually, no, it's not.
IT security.
No, that's why it goes to a VPN tunnel, because it's not a separate IP address. So they have a VPN login, which occasionally we get to tell them the VPN's down, and it causes all kinds of hardware compliance.
Because we can't get the inventory from the
Yeah, so we use another software provider to do all of our log triage and alarming. The same issue, they're going through the same VPN tunnel. Once they're cut off, we're flying blind. So I ensure that they know that that's a high priority. That there could be jail time involved, which they don't need to do those.
IT security features.
Okay, I'm going to hit the pause button there. Brent, turn it over to you.